Welcome to today's episode of Rainer on Leadership. My name is Tom Rainer. I'm joined by Sam Rainer, and we're here to talk about lessons and for leaders and lessons for churches. And we have a really, really great episode today because we're going to be talking to Tim Challies, and we'll be introducing probably a guy that doesn't need a lot of introduction, but we'll be introducing him in just a few moments. Hey, one thing I want to say to you listeners before we get started, we've mentioned this, but I want to mention it one more time. At Church Answers, we're going to be doing a lot of ministry partnerships. And basically what that means is there's a lot of things that Church Answers does not do. And we have a lot of churches and church leaders who come to us and say, can you do fill in the blank for us? We're trying to find more and more partners that can come alongside of us and do those things that we don't do. So it's a complementary partnership, if you will. Two of those partners that love introducing, Brown Development Group out of Nebraska. Brown Development Group is a design build firm, which means that they do the architectural work. They do the consulting, the architectural work, and the building. So they're really almost a turnkey for any type of facility issue you need. We love them. We invite our ministry partners. We don't just pick them up and say, okay, we got someone that's doing a sponsorship. We invite them. And Brown Development Group has been around for 50 years. They are absolutely solid. So if you have anything about your facility, just want to let you know about that. And then there's Church Growth Services. They are a generosity firm, which means they help you to raise funds for buildings or for your budget or other purposes. And what I love about Church Growth Services is they are really suited for all size churches. Certainly, like many generosity firms, they do the large churches, but they also adjust very, very well, both with the financial requirements and with the culture for small churches as well. So we want to welcome those two ministry partners, Brown Development Group and Church Growth Services. And Sam, before we start talking to Tim, I know you want to say a word about Vanderbloemen.
Yes, we love Vanderbloemen. If you're a church, school, nonprofit, values-based business, or family office, Vanderbloemen would be honored to serve you because their team's goal is to empower yours by aligning your people's solutions for growth. So they'll help you with things like hiring, compensation, succession planning, even culture. They do culture really well. So hire the right people, pay them well, plan for the future, build a culture that lasts. Learn more at vanderbloemen.com.
And I told Tim Challies thanks for the patience. And Tim, I'm going to introduce you, but thank you, my friend, for being here. I told you we had a little bit of front-end activity, so thank you for your patience. And thank you for joining us on this podcast. We're looking forward to talking to you about your ministry, your book, and your life.
You're very welcome.
Tim Challies, Christian, husband to Eileen, father of two girls, a son who is in heaven. He worships and serves as an elder at Grace Fellowship Church in Toronto. He's a blogger. Many of you probably know him first that way, but he's also a book reviewer and has written a number of popular books himself. His latest is Knowing and Enjoying God, coming out September 2021, even as we speak, through Harvest House. So, Tim, as we get started, the listening audience knows that 10 months ago, your son went into the arms of Jesus, and life has been radically turned upside down in ways that most of us cannot even imagine. With your permission, I just say, can you just speak to that for a moment and just give us a little bit about your journey, as so many of your listeners and audience and tribe have been praying for you faithfully?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Nick was firstborn child, firstborn son, only son. He was a student at the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary, where he was pursuing a career in ministry. His great desire was to come back to Canada and to serve here in simple, small church pastoral ministry was really his dream. He had just gotten engaged. And then for reasons we don't fully understand, medical people still haven't really solved it, his heart stopped beating. And they were unable at that time to restart it, unable to help him or render assistance. And so he went to be with the Lord at the age of 20. And that was, of course, just a huge shock for us as a family. My daughter was a student down there as well, so she was present. The rest of us hastened down. And it's been a massive adjustment for us. Nothing we ever could have imagined or would have wanted to imagine. But the Lord's been very, very kind to us and very present with us through his word, through his spirit, through his people, and has given us a lot of comfort and a lot of hope.
Sam is a graduate of Southern. I'm a two-time graduate of Southern, served as a dean there for about a dozen years. And it is a great community to be in anytime, but I know it's a great community that surrounded those who love Nick and you when you got there. So very grateful for that.
Yeah, no, the folk at Southern and at Boyce, of course, they just outdid themselves in kindness and hospitality and warmth and generosity. We were very, very well cared for, very well loved, and are just immeasurably grateful for the leadership there, all the way down to the students and just the way they looked out for us. So we're very thankful.
Well, I know that you'll be coming up on the first anniversary of this, and again, I do not imagine the emotions that you're going through. I cannot, but I do know that I can pray to the one who knows all, and we'll continue to pray for you, Tim.
Thank you.
Hey, let's talk about this book. It is fascinating, Knowing and Enjoying God. Is it devotional? Is it? Let me just back away. You describe this book and tell us your heart in it. What was behind it, and what's the reader going to get when he or she comes to this book?
I'm a lover of quotes. I love good quotes. And I read a lot of old authors, and I notice that one of the great skills of the older authors, you might go to the Puritans or all the way into the 19th century devotional writers. You might think of J.C. Ryle's, Matthew Henry's, people of that ilk, they would give a lot of words, explain something at length, and then distill it down to a sentence. And I like just that sentence. I love to find great big distillations of truth into one punchy sentence. And so years ago, I started collecting quotes. And when this whole Instagram thing started happening, I realized there might be a way of sharing quotes where we can make them look beautiful and put them out there through this social media. And now people who like beautiful things would also read inspirational or biblical things. And so I joined with a graphic designer, Jules Coblin, and together we started designing what we've come to call square quotes, which pretty much summarize it, just a square graphic with a quote laid over top. And we started sharing those through the internet. They just got passed around a lot. People started to enjoy them. And we started to think, what else could we do with them? And realize, we could approach this thematically and write some devotionals that go with it and develop what I think would be a neat book that could sit on a coffee table or be handed to someone, maybe have some devotional purpose, some evangelistic purpose. And lo and behold, we have Knowing and Enjoying God, which is just that book.
Do you know that you used one of my quotes one time? And it has become my most popular quote, not because I said it, it's because you put it in one of those little boxes and put it out there.
Yeah.
You may not remember, but I do. It was the preferences of the church members becomes greater than their love of the gospel. The church is already dying.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah.
All of a sudden, because of Tim Challies, I'm famous.
Good. Yeah, I do what I can.
And I've got to chime in just a little bit here. And I wondered if I would even say this because Tim, I doubt he remembers. But I remember when I first started blogging, this is well over 10 years ago. And I remember digging into my stats one weekend and going, man, what happened? I forget the day. It was a Thursday or something. I don't know. And I remember what happened on this day. And I dig into all the, where did all these people come from? And lo and behold, Tim Challies had linked to me from now this is before social media, if I remember right.
Yeah. This is when blogs were social media. Right?
Yes.
They were the game. Yeah.
And I remember thinking, I have made it. I have arrived. Tim Challies has linked to me. I shut the blog down now. We're done.
Go home.
I have arrived. So you have probably no memory of that whatsoever, but I just want to take a moment and say thank you for driving traffic to my blog.
You're very welcome. When I started blogging, it was an intrinsically selfish pursuit for me. It was something I wanted to hoard all the traffic I could get. I wanted to bring readers in and then hold them. And the Lord really worked on me through various situations, but I started to realize the best thing I could do with the people that the Lord's entrusted to me, with the views, page views, whatever, is to give them away. And I came to have just great joy in building what I call the a la carte feature every day and directing the people who visit my site to other sites. And man, what a blessing it's been to be able to hear stories like that and just be able to direct people to content far better than I can write, be people who have expertise in other areas and so on. So I'm really thankful for that.
Well, and that's a really good segue to our next question. how can, you've got this devotional book and these pithy sayings that kind of bring together a lot of material in a very short way. How can a small message grow someone's faith in a big way?
Part of the inspiration for the book was a quote by John Piper, and I don't know the exact wording, and I've heard him say it several different times in several different ways, but something like, books don't change people's lives, paragraphs do, sometimes sentences. And I think he's absolutely right that sometimes it's the very short things that make a very small difference. And I'm sure you've preached some sermons before, and you realize most people don't remember much of that sermon. If they can remember one thing from that sermon, just one sentence or one small point, that's enough to change somebody's life. That's enough to really just allow the Lord to do a good work in them. And so I have a lot of confidence in small bits of information being able to make a big difference. And I'm sure for most of us, our experience is if we read a 240-page book and we take away one big point from it, that has been worth the time, worth the effort, worth the cost of the book, and so on. So yeah, I've got a lot of confidence in small bits of information really carrying a heavy weight.
Tim, in knowing and enjoying God, you challenge readers to cultivate consistent means of grace, also referred to as spiritual disciplines. What are you seeing as the big need in the church right now? What means of grace are maybe most churches in need of right now?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I've been doing a lot of reading in the 19th century, late 1800 writers. And I've been really interested to see that whatever we might identify as a problem today, they probably identified as a problem all that time ago. So when we ask questions about what does the church need today, I think often they're universal needs. I was reading a guy who was writing in the late 1800s, and he was complaining about the pace of life. Just why do we need express trains? Why do we need telegraphs? This world is getting too fast. And I thought, man, if you could just see Twitter, you would lose your mind. I think a lot of our problems are universal. They transcend they transcend time. So, I think the great need of people is to spend time with the Lord. And the great problem is just finding that time amidst all the hustle and bustle of life, or all the laziness of life, all of the different responsibilities we have, all the different things we could do with our time, but just really prioritizing our relationship with the Lord. It's something Christians talk about and something Christians get to experience, which is a true, genuine, living relationship with the God of all the universe. And that's something, any relationship takes time. Any relationship needs to be fostered. And it's the means of grace through which we do foster that relationship with the Lord.
I have 3 sons, and 2 of them are pastors. The other one is at VP at Southeastern Seminary. And I was listening to both of my sons preach, Sam being one of them, and Jess being another, their sermons last Sunday. And I particularly remember Jess saying something to the effect of, this is what happens if you are in the Word every day. And he had empirical evidence of what happens. And it's, again, what happens when you are in the Word? You are spending time with the Lord. What happens when you are in prayer? You're spending time with the Lord. What happens when you're fasting? You're listening attentively to the Lord. So, yeah, sometimes it just gets back to basics. Hey, I want to take just a little side road here, if I might, something we have not planned. But Sam and I were talking in a previous podcast. We've been talking about the toxicity of social media. You have been a great user of social media for the good. Any particular comments that you have on some of the things you're seeing in this?
Tim, let's just put you on the spot. Let's just get completely off script and just. I just social media.
He can speak, General. He doesn't have to take any political position.
I know, and frankly, I think a lot of people would like to hear the answer to this question. So I'm curious.
So I've actually bailed on a lot of social media. I just realized that it was adding stress to my life and not much joy, and I was finding it extremely difficult for very little benefit. And COVID, lockdowns, everything else, it changed my life in that it just took everything away. I was traveling all the time, then suddenly I wasn't traveling at all. I was busy at church, then for a time church was closed. Everything got taken away, and I had to really be deliberate about what I was going to add back into my life. And it didn't take me long to realize social media on the whole is something I'm just not that interested in. It doesn't give me joy. I don't think it really serves my mission all that well. And so, I use it to broadcast information, but I don't really use it for engagement. So that's been my way of dealing with it. I just don't think it's necessary to my life, and I don't think it's helpful to my life on the whole.
Your words convict me, because I think anytime I'm on social media, Tim, I come away feeling like I'm dirty because of what I've been watching, and maybe even though I don't post a response to it, I feel a response to it, and so I'm sinning in my heart about whatever I'm reading at the time. So, yeah. Goodness gracious, I have a temptation to walk away in a good way. So, thanks for that admonition, Sam.
I'm just on social media for the funny stuff. That's all.
That's a good reason.
There's some really funny things on social media. I'm sorry. I
don't judge.
I know you're not. I enjoy social media, but I don't get swept into I try not to get swept into the toxicity. I think, Tim, that's a really good point. If social media is bringing you more pain or hurt or toxicity than it is joy, what on earth are you doing there? And I think that's wise. And you're the sage, I'm the clown in this case. So we'll take Tim's wisdom. Find joy elsewhere, and you're probably better off.
One of the great things has been when people come to me and say, "What do you think about fill in little tempest in a teapot du jour in the Christian world?" And I say, I got no idea. Never heard of it. Doesn't matter. It's some pastor far away. It doesn't overlap with my life at all. Don't know about it. Don't need to have an opinion on it. That's really been one of the benefits. So again, there's room for social media. Absolutely. I'm not judging anyone who's on it. But for me, I just found it was feeding a part of me that was really prone to gossip, really drawn to gossip, drawn to things that I can do nothing about. I don't need to know anything about. And that was really where a lot of the negativity, toxicity was coming from. So I've been so thankful to just be mostly away from that and just not having to have opinions on a lot of different things, not even having to know it at all. It's been a blessing.
That's good. Sam?
Yeah, one last question before part ways here. A great majority of your book, back to the book, it falls into the habits of reading the Bible, praying, participating in the local church. Why did you choose to write a book that emphasizes these? I know they're important, but I'd love for you to break that down further.
Yeah, we as Christians are in need of grace. We need God's grace to be saved, to be sanctified. We need God's grace. How can we receive that grace is a question that all Christians wrestle with. How does God dispense it, or how does it flow from God to us? And when we talk about means of grace, this is what we're talking about. But I think we know our own temptations enough to know that we kind of want to fabricate them on our own. We want to determine how God will communicate with us, how God will convey his grace to us. And I had a friend who really believed that taking drugs was the key to really experiencing God. You've never experienced him like I have because you haven't taken this kind of narcotic. So for him, that was a means of divine favor, divine grace or something. But we look to the scripture and we see what God lays out as the means through which we can always have confidence that God will speak to us, God will communicate with us, God will bestow his grace upon us. And that is through the word. Every time we open God's word, we can be sure, 100% sure that God is speaking. Whenever we pray, we can be 100% sure that God is listening, that we're truly speaking, communing with God. And when we're in the local church, we're taking advantage of these other means he's given us, these very public ones where we join together as the body of Christ. And so rather than speculating on how God may communicate with us, we can focus in on these things and know that God is always there, always eager to extend his grace to us.
We are talking to Tim Challies about knowing and enjoying God. His latest book, you can see the link to it and just click onto it. And boy, it's full of wisdom, just absolutely full of wisdom. And you can also find Tim's site at challies.com, CHALLIES.com. You can see the link that is there. Tim, as we close this, what final words would you have for the audience regarding this book or anything else, just to kind of wrap this up?
Yeah, I hope people enjoy it. I think it's a unique book. I think it can be, again, used for devotional or just a little bit of inspiration or something you can hand to somebody. I've been handing it out to neighbors as I've got my early copies, and it's been well received. So I hope it's one that will really benefit people if they give it a look. And it's certainly beautiful. Harvest House was just the right publisher for a book like this. They've done a wonderful job laying it out and making it look just right.
It sounds like it's something that is very much Tim Challies. That's what I think. That's why the world is going to love this. Not that everything you do has to be of brevity, but it is succinct, and it is a powerful message in its brevity. So thank you, Tim. And just be assured, and these words are not trite, of our prayers for you, your wife, your daughters, and your extended family, especially as you approach this 1-year anniversary. And we're out there in the fields praying for all of you. And though I cannot pretend, I pray every day for you. We have, and we will continue to. So just let you know that. Sam, you want to close
appreciate that.
Thank you, Tim. You want to close us with Southeastern Seminary?
Certainly. Southeastern is committed to helping you get the training you need to pursue your ministry from anywhere around the world. That's why they are waiving the application fee to any of their programs for you, Church Answers listeners. So use the code Church Answers, no space, plural, Church Answers. They'll waive the application fee when you check out. So no matter what stage of life's journey you find yourself in, they want to help you take the next step to getting equipped and be able to disciple and teach others. So in coming to Southeastern, you'll find a seminary that isn't just about theological education. It's also about ministry preparation. So go explore degrees, schedule a visit, or apply online at sebts.edu. And I want to thank all of you for joining us here today on Rainer on Leadership.
This was a great episode. I know I'm interrupting your closing, but
I was almost done. I was really trying to hit that. I was really trying to hit that 22 mark, and we're gonna miss it. I was aiming for precision, and you messed up my precision.
But I love this interview, and I'm just I can't wait for a lot of our audience to get the book. So I just want to say that. Now you can finish it up, Sam.
Now we're at 22:05, and we've completely ruined it all. Right. All right, I'll finish up. Thank you again for joining us today. Watch us on YouTube, subscribe on iTunes, listen on Google Podcasts, Spotify, or favorite podcasting app, and join us online at churchanswers.com, where we are growing. I'm just off today. You messed me up. Growing. We're growing healthy churches together.